Hey everyone, Shaun Stevenson here, author of the Throne series, and today we are talking about something you all have been asking for a while, and that is, what are my favorite Goosebumps books I've read so far? So I went through all 32 Goosebumps books that I've read so far, and I pulled out 10 of them that I know these are my favorites out of the ones that I've read so far. And this will be an evolving list because I'm obviously going to be reading more Goosebumps books, and I will be adding to this list and shifting things around. So far, these 10 have been remaining in my top 10 almost every time I've been reading Goosebumps books. Only a couple have changed here and there since I started really getting into Goosebumps books and reading through them. So I thought, okay, we need to get to the top 10. What are the ones that are my favorites? Now, I gotta tell you, there's gonna be for sure one in here that people might be like, what? Why is that one of your top 10? Actually, there's probably two for sure that I think I have heard people say they actively do not like, and I have reasons for why I like them. So we will talk about it. Coming in at number 10 is none other than book number 8 in the Slappyworld series, The Dummy Meets the Mummy. Now, okay, before anyone throws anything at me and says, there are so many better Goosebumps books than that one, this is out of the ones I've read so far. And I gotta tell you, when I read this one, I actually read this because I was trying to read all the different Mummy books leading up to Night of the Living Mummy, House of Shivers book number 3 that came out. And so I read through all the different Mummy stories that R.L. Stine has written, and this was one of them. And I gotta say, I actually loved this book. It was like, to me, this was like a Godzilla kind of moment where it's like Godzilla versus King Kong kind of setup, where you have the dummy Slappy versus the mummy. And you have that is a promise that is on the cover that these two are gonna fight, and they fight. And it is every bit as entertaining as you hope it would be. There are so many good moments between Slappy and the mummy, and I loved it. I thought it was so much fun. It kind of also reminded me a little bit of like the old Abbott and Costello movies. If you've ever seen any of those, like when Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, that film is a Universal monster classic because you have like Frankenstein and Dracula and the werewolf. It's like all these characters coming together that you're so excited to see together on the screen. And in this book, it's kind of like that. I love the Mummy books that are in the Goosebumps series, and I really like Slappy as a character too. So I love those two going at it. Such a genius idea. I actually wish R.L. Stine would do more mashups like this, where we have different villains from different Goosebumps books fighting against each other. Like if he did a series that was like Goosebumps Versus, I would love to see it, where it's like just different monsters versus each other, and that's the plot of the book. I would be here for it, 100%. So R.L. Stine, if you're watching this, you know what you gotta do. And then coming in at number 9 is book number 45 in the original series, Ghost Camp. Now this one might be kind of an odd outlier to some people, but I actually really like this one. I read this one and because I like the ghost stories, I usually do like R.L. Stine's Goosebumps ghost stories. They're some of my favorites. Hints for later ones on in this list. But this one is number 9 for me because it was a lot of fun. It was a great plot, some good, really scary moments, but the ending to me kind of falters just a little bit. So that's why it's a little lower in my top 10, but still in my top 10 for some great moments. It also has a very interesting Fear Street crossover in one of the moments later on in this book, where there is something that happens in this book that is so similar to the Secret Bedroom Fear Street book that I couldn't help but think these are in the same universe. Fear Street and Goosebumps are in the same universe together because this is exactly the way R.L. Stine described it, this happening in Fear Street, as what he's describing in this book as happening. And so I thought that was really fascinating, and I really did enjoy this story. I thought it was an interesting one and had me guessing all the way up to the end. And then coming in at number 8 is book 50 in the original series, Calling All Creeps. Now, Some might accuse me of recency bias because I recently read this one for the first time and I really enjoyed it. It was such a fun Goosebumps entry, and I really do like this one. I think it's got such a creepy idea. You don't have some of the typical tropes that R.L. Stine leans on in Goosebumps books, like the annoying sibling trope that he always does all the time. Not in this book. And I enjoyed that a lot. You also have a really creepy setup with like these people calling our main character in the middle of the night and asking like, we're ready, what do you need us to do? I just think it has such a great setup. The ending to this one is not my absolute favorite, but I do enjoy it quite a bit. The whole book is just well done. Classic Goosebumps. All right, so number 7 is another one of those ones that I know people are gonna be like, that book? Why is that in your top 10? So let me try and explain. Which book am I talking about? I'm talking about book number 41, Bad Hair Day, in the original series. Now, this one is on my list for a very specific reason. I chose to put this at number 7 because I recognize it's not everyone's favorite, and it does have the most annoying little sibling, in my opinion, so far of the ones I've read, of a sibling that is just so grating and on your nerves the entire book. But I really like this one because of its message. I think that R.L. Stine in the 90s, when he wrote this, captured the like millennial angst that I think a lot of millennials feel, because so many millennials were told like, you can be anything, you can do anything, you can save the world, you can change the world, etc., etc. And now as adults, millennials were kind of like, yeah, so those promises weren't true and that didn't really work out, so now what? And I think this book captures that idea of like going after what you want so much and realizing in the end it's an empty promise. And to me, that was a fascinating exploration. So that's why I had to put it at number 7. And then coming in at number 6 is perhaps the saddest Goosebumps book there is, and that's book number 10 in the original series, The Ghost Next Door. This book is so sad and so depressing. And after I read it, I had to sit for a minute because I just thought, whew, wow, that was a lot. This book has a moment in it that's so forlorn and so empty that just, it got me so much. And I just remember thinking as I was reading it, wow, this is a really sad story. And I think, to me, this one is not scary exactly. I don't think it's as much of a scary story. And I really definitely, I guess the twist, like from the very beginning, but it just stuck with me, this book. And I couldn't shake it at all. And I think that this one is really, really poignant and has a lot to say about grief. And it's definitely not a Goosebumps book to read if you are in a not great place mentally. I think this is one that is a pretty tough read, and I think that you should go into it carefully, but it's so sad, but also has a hopeful ending, which is kind of interesting for a Goosebumps book. It doesn't have really a twist. It's more of a hopeful twist, and I did like that quite a bit, and I liked the ending of this book, but it just was a sad journey getting there. So now we're in the top 5, and I'm about to make some controversial choices, I'm sure, because the book I have at number 5 is probably most people's number 1, but I like some other books better than this one. This one's really good, don't get me wrong. Even though it's at number 5, there's just 4 other Goosebumps books I personally like better than this one. So what's at number 5? It's none other than the original series, book number 11, The Haunted Mask. Now, this is like probably the most iconic Goosebumps book there is. That cover, this whole plot, it's completely one of, I would say, the best written Goosebumps books there is. From a plot standpoint, from a character standpoint, from a setting standpoint, all of those things, this is definitely one of the best written Goosebumps books that R.L. Stine's ever written. I just happen to like 4 other ones better than this one for some different reasons. But this one is still so good. If you've never read a Goosebumps book, this is a great one just to pick up and read and get the idea of what Goosebumps is all about. And I think that this book to me is probably the one that jump-started Goosebumps into what it is today. I think when you think of Goosebumps, this is one of the first books you think of. That cover, I remember seeing it at Scholastic Book Fairs when I was a kid, and it is just iconic. I think that this is one of the best Goosebumps books there is. You have a great storyline. Like I said, Carly Beth as a character is one of the best characters R.L. Stine's ever written. It can't be competed with on so many levels. That's why it's at my number 5. So coming in at number 4 is none other than book number 33 in the original series, The Horror at Camp Jellyjam. This one beats out Haunted Mask, because I'm sure some of you are wondering, what? How does this one beat Haunted Mask? Here's partly why. The Haunted Mask, not only have I read the Haunted Mask book, I have seen the episodes so many times, and I know very well the plot of that story, so I just know it. I know it very, very well, and I do enjoy it a lot. So when I read one of the books that doesn't have an episode that I've seen in the past, because I saw mostly all of the episodes of the series, so I know a lot of the twists of a lot of the different stories, and so I knew the Haunted Mask story very well. But this one, I did not know. And I managed to avoid all spoilers for this book, and I will not spoil anything for you because this one is excellent. I think this is another one from top to bottom. I have no complaints about it. It's so well done. It's so creepy. It's so horrifying. You have such a great villain in this book. This is one of those villains I want to see go in a mashup against another one, like this villain versus the blob that ate everything or something. That would be so interesting to me. I would love it. I'd love it. Or this villain versus Monster Blood. I can't help myself. It'd be so exciting. This one was such a good story. And then coming in at book number 3 is none other than book number 37 in the original series, The Headless Ghost. This one was one of my favorites. This is just a classic, good ghost story. You have some great twists in this book, a great mystery in this book, some fun characters. I really enjoyed this one so much. I think the setting is what sells this one. You have this old, like, Gothic mansion that does haunted house tours, and it's just so well done, so much fun. I really, really enjoyed this ghost story. There's not much else I can really say about it. It's just one of my favorites because it's a ghost story. I love the R.L. Stine ghost stories and haunted house type stories because I think they just have this atmosphere that's nostalgic for me and something that I just personally enjoy a lot. So this one is at number 3 for me. So what could be at number 2 and number 1? Well, here we go. Let's find out. At number 2 is one of, obviously it's one of my favorites because it's number 2 on my list. And I will admit, number 2 and number 1, I hem-hawed for quite a bit on which one is my number 1. And I went back and forth. I laid them all out on the floor, and so I could look at each book and really remember like what happened, the characters, the setting, all the stuff. And as I was looking at it, I thought, no, that one is number 1, and this one is number 2. And for some very specific reasons. But this one is such a classic. It's from the original series, and it's book number 59, The Haunted School. This one was so great. I read this book in one sitting, and it was excellent. So many great moments in this book that are so disturbing. This one is, to me, it's not as much scary as it's disturbing and sticks with you. It has another great villain in it. Like, can you imagine if the villain in this book got hold of the camera from Say, Cheese, and Die? the world wouldn't exist anymore. I'm just saying. This one was so fun. I so enjoyed it. You have such a creepy mystery, such a creepy setting with this like old school that's built around an older school, this like mysterious alternate place that is just terrifying. Some characters that are like watching what's happening. It's just so good. There are so many creepy moments in this book. Like one of my favorites is when the main character finds the room of statues, and that's all I'll say about it. So excellent. It's such a good moment. It has that instant like creepy factor that you just love in a Goosebumps book that's not going to be too scary, but you're just sitting there thinking, wow, that is a creepy image that R.L. Stine's come up with right there. So this one, even though it's near the end of the original series, if you can get your hands on a copy to read this one, it is worth it, because I think The Haunted School is obviously one of the best. So what is my number one favorite, hands down so far, Goosebumps book? Well, it's one that might surprise you, but no matter how hard I try, this one always just comes back as one of my favorites. And it is a book in Goosebumps Series 2000, and that is book number 1, Cry of the Cat. This one, oh wow. This one's actually scary to me. I think R.L. Stine has a thing about cats. He uses cats quite a bit in his books as a scary device. And this one is a good one. It's so creepy, such a great storyline with this just evil villain that is out to get what it wants to get and will get it at any cost. And I think that is such a great moment. You just have so many eerie things throughout this story. So many just moments where you're wondering what is exactly going on right there. And then the horrifying ending twist is absolutely wild. I remember reading it and being just sitting there like, what? What is happening? This is so creepy and so scary. I loved it. That is why this one proved that R.L. Stine could notch it up a little bit to take up the scares, make it a little more intense for Series 2000. And it was an excellent choice because I feel like this entry was the perfect next step up for people who had read some Goosebumps books and were ready for just a little more, but not tons more scares. And that's why I think Cry of the Cat, to me, so far out of all the Goosebumps books that I've read, this is my favorite. So that's my list. What are your favorite Goosebumps books you've read across all the series? I would love to hear in the comments down below. Please give me your list. And please know, this is going to be an evolving list for me. Every so often, I'm going to do an update of this video because I know I'm going to read more Goosebumps books. There are some heavy hitters that I have not read yet that I know are probably going to end up on this list after I've read them. And I'm excited to get to those, and I can't wait. So, until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye.